Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Hey everybody, welcome to the stream tonight. It is Malaysian Airlines Monday. I am your host, Ashton Forbes. We are reviewing Malaysian Airlines MH370 evidence updates, things that are relevant on social media. There's quite a lot to go over today, including Lue Elizondo on Patrick Bet-David. Stephen Greer came out with a new interview today where he talks about the technology. Lou Elizondo addresses claims that Dr. Greer called him a disinformation agent. We're going to look at that. What else do I've got on here? We're going to look at relook at some of Hal Puthoff stuff related to the science. I'm going to be answering questions in the chat for anybody who has questions about the case of the missing plane, so that we can get the information out there. So if you guys are new, or if you've been out here for a while and you've been following social media, you'll see that the videos have blown up over the last couple of days. They've been getting reposted. They've been getting millions and millions and millions of views. I've got more than one post that's got over 1 million views in the last couple of days. Yeah, like when you look at the replies too, you see a lot of the same questions over and over and over and over and over and over again. Why this plane? Why are they filming? Where did they go? Et cetera, et cetera. I've kind of gotten tired of answering those questions because I've answered them like every single day. So I'm trying to centralize the questions into the live streams where we can get those kind of answers for the people that are out there that want to know more about, you know, why these videos are compelling. So to start off tonight, I want to point out that I actually I made some tweets about Edward C. Lin. In fact, I think we'll take a quick look at one of them that I posted earlier today. And then I have an update regarding Edward C. Lin, and we're going to look at some other stuff in here as well. So, okay, let's pull this up. Let me make this a little bit. Okay, so there was a post that was going viral about Edward C. Lin. And so I wanted to point out how powerful. Yeah, last week, by the way, was fire. If you missed the live streams last week, strongly recommend checking them out. Sorry, I meant to hold that up. We had a lot of amazing live streams. There was some big updates. We had Robert J. O'Neill, who's the Navy SEAL that supposedly shot bin Laden. He was posting about how the plane disappearing was never a mystery and how it was a warning to China, which is pretty odd because that's really not been a popular... That's really been a relatively unknown argument other than like the letter to Ashton Forbes and what I've been saying on many, many, many podcasts that are out there. Here's a Discord invite for anybody who wants to get in the Discord. I'll leave that up for a minute. So there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, Ashton, there's no evidence. Ashton doesn't have any evidence, which is crazy because I have an evidence list document that's been publicly available for almost a year. That's 15 or something pages long, and that doesn't even include hyperlinks to all the sources. I have so much evidence that I could win a court case anywhere in this country. No problem, easily. I could convince 12 people that don't even believe in this kind of a technology that we stole this airplane. And some of the most powerful evidence is literally finding the leaker. And I found the leaker. And the other thing that I hear sometimes too is that, oh, Ashton stole his work from people or something like that, which is crazy because I've done so much unique independent investigation that nobody else has ever figured out about this plane, including figuring out about the fire event, figuring out Edward C. Lin, figuring out the location of the plane, just as a few examples. And that doesn't even get into the science, which is just exposing 0 point energy out there as well. So I'd say that the biggest thing out there is the Edward C. Lin, finding the leaker of the videos. A lot of people say these videos were debunked because I saw a YouTube video of some moron sitting on a couch where they did 0 forensic analysis. And they said, ha, 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 this looks so fake. Ha, 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 ha. And then they show a non-matching VFX and they just go, see, it's a perfect match, even though it's not. And so people just literally are so stupid that they just absorb that as their own belief system without even critically thinking about it for even 1 second. And I go, well, who's the hoaxer then? Who's the hoaxer? Do you find out who the hoaxer is? Is it regicided on? If it's not regicided on, why did they say they received the video on March 12th, 2014, where it's literally impossible for somebody who had faked it in that period of time? Oh, I don't know. They lied. It's like when you start to dig into the details, you realize there's no story that makes any sense for the MH370 videos to be fake. And contrarily, I found the actual leaker. I dug through everybody who was charged with espionage and willful retention of classified information, and I found the leaker. Like, there's no doubt this is the guy. He flew on a super secret spy plane program, which he got assigned to on February 15th, 2014, right before the plane disappeared. 2 weeks before the plane disappeared, this guy's on a super secret spy squadron where they don't have their insignias because they do black operations. And if they get caught, they don't want anybody to figure out who they're aligned with. And then his lawyer says that they began investigating him on April 2nd, 2014. I mean, guys, this alone is enough evidence to implicate that this guy's responsible. That alone, nothing, you don't need anything more. We've got a guy out there, the time frame perfectly matches within weeks of the plane disappearing before and afterwards. And when we're looking at the satellite video, we're literally looking at somebody on a remote terminal Citrix session. It's undeniable. There's not a fake video. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a fake video of a Citrix session where you have a cursor coming over the top of it that's a different frame rate than the background. This is proof that what we're looking at is actually logged into a remote database. There's no other explanation. No other explanation at all. This is not CGI. Nothing that we're looking at in here is CGI. Not the clouds, not the stock effect that people try to claim matches. None of it is CGI. In fact, to date, nobody has even made any reputable claim that anything we're viewing at in here is CGI. Everybody agrees these clouds are real clouds. The people that think the videos are fake think they're real pictures of real clouds. That is objectively false. Not an opinion, objectively false. This cannot, I repeat, this cannot be a picture of clouds. It's not possible. We have 2 videos from different angles. We have the clouds are moving and evolving. And the zap that you just saw accurately illuminates the entire environment in 3 dimensions. This absolutely requires, not an opinion, a 3D rendered environment to pull this off. Which means you cannot have 2D pictures of clouds involved in this. Not possible. So it's very, like, the moment you catch people in a lie like this, people have been trying to figure out a lie that I've said for a year. And nobody can find any lies whatsoever that I've ever said. It only takes me 5 seconds to prove the debunkers are lying. 5 seconds, that's it. Again, this isn't CGI. There's no reputable evidence that there's anything here is a CGI. So, going back to Edward C. Lin, and I will show some of the additional, actually, we're gonna talk about the debunk stuff in just a second, because I want to address some of these claims that are out there, because everybody is like, my YouTuber told me this is debunked. I'm telling you, I got the leaker. If you think it's debunked, go find Edward C. Lin and get him to say I didn't leak these videos. That's the most powerful thing you could possibly do, considering I pretty much banked everything on Edward C. Lin being the leaker. Of course, they're not interested in doing that because they're afraid that he's going to say, yes, I leaked the videos. And then it turns out all the debunkers are scammers and frauds and their whole lives are ruined, because that's what's going to happen. His lawyer argued that information that he leaked is available on the internet. This guy got a 9-year prison sentence. It's widely disproportionate to pleading guilty to classified dissemination of classified information. If they're not hiding anything, and here's all the clips that I made for you guys. Like, I took clips from the news articles so you can see I'm not making this up. Lawyer literally says the investigation into his alleged offenses since April 2nd, 2014. There it is, direct quote from his lawyer. He had above top secret access to the Navy's most sensitive secrets. He's on this secret spy plane program. He has access to both videos. Like, this is the guy. Simple. NCIS case rejected in total. I'm going to read it just clearly. We have carefully reviewed the documents and we have withheld them in total under FOIA exemption, blah, blah, blah. To be kept secret, or what is it? Matters, exemption 1 protects the disclosure information about matters specifically authorized under the criteria established by the executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. Other espionage people, even people charged with real espionage, where they admitted to espionage, go look up the news articles. They tell you what the person leaked. They'll be like, this person leaked satellite data. This person leaked that. This person exchanged money for information about this or that. Edward C. Lin, they wouldn't say anything about it. 9 years. Remember, whatever he's charged with, he's got to have 9 years. Executive Order Part 1, Section 1.4 C and D. 1.4 C and D are covert operations and foreign relations. They're keeping this secret literally for covert operations. So what is it that this guy leaked? Remember, they had to admit that he exchanged nothing with anyone from China. So Edward C. Lin is out of prison somewhere. I've been trying to track him down. So this is the next thing. I called up Edward C. Lin's lawyers again today. First time in almost 1 year. How do I know that? Because when I talked to them, they had notes about the first time I called, which was 331 days ago. That's what they told me today. I called and I said, I want to speak to like whatever lawyer. I looked up the old lawyer. The old lawyer was Larry Younger. He's no longer with the law firm. And I said, okay, well, there has to be another lawyer that like this case was transferred over to. So they say, okay, hold on a second. 5 minutes goes by or so. She comes back. Lady says, I spoke to the other guy it's been moved over to. They cannot even confirm or deny that lawyer ever worked at the office. They can't share any information about his case without him giving a release for attorney-client privilege. They actually they couldn't even tell me the name of the other lawyer. And she was saying, I probably even said too much, even telling you there is another lawyer that the case has been like aligned with, after the fact. So what the hell, man? I've never seen a situation where there's so much secrecy about a guy who went to prison. They can't give me anything about him. They can't give me his information, where he's at, nothing. They can't pass a message on to him. The lawyer can't even talk to me at all about anything. So guys, like, what the hell, man? It's just wild. I'm honestly thinking about just going and trying to find him in person. I'm just worried like I won't be able to, like, even if we find his old addresses, like he might not be there anymore. He might have fled. It's been a while. It might just be a wild goose chase. It might be dangerous to go try to find him as well. So I don't know. We're going to see. Okay. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Appreciate you guys for watching. What is this message? Did you post emails and documents from the tape? What does this have anything to do with MH370? What? Okay. So that was the first news I wanted to give. Okay. Now let's deal with some of the debunk stuff. Okay, first thing, there are two main debunk attempts that have happened. And the first one is the easiest one to argue against. People claim this is where, if you've seen the Lore Lodge or the Corridor Crew or the original Reddit threads, the whole conversation was suppressed on Reddit after a pyromania shockwave effect was found. And they claim that this is a perfect match to the zap in the video. It is not a perfect match. I've repeatedly stated, again, this is not an opinion. This is an objective fact. It does not match. And the fact that you have people still lying and saying that, yes, it's a perfect match, it's a perfect match, you should that immediately discredits them entirely, right? They lied about it. The same way where Nico of the Corridor Crew said that the clouds don't move in the satellite video. They do move. He's a liar. Objectively, Nico of the Corridor Crew is a liar. So that immediately discredits anything else he ever says about the videos, because we already know he's a liar. And all I have to do to prove it is go, here you go. Here's the images of the clouds moving. There you go. You can see the movement of the clouds. That's it. Nico is 100% a liar. If you believe the Corridor Crew, you have chosen to believe liars. Right? People are still looking for the first lie from me. They can't find any lies from me. It only took me 5 seconds to prove that Nico of the Corridor Crew is a liar. Simple as that. Okay? They didn't actually do any forensic analysis of the videos whatsoever. They claim to be VFX experts, but they're not. They're just objectively, they are frauds. I'm saying this as a literal fact. Nico and the fat guy, they're not really VFX experts. They're just literally frauds. And if you listen to them, you're listening to frauds. They just looked at a website and they took the information off the Metabunk website and they pretended like they did it when they didn't. This is called fraudulent behavior. You guys literally not understand. And so all it takes, there's two different ways I like to show. One is here where you can just see the overlay. These are not a match. I get that the edge is similar, but that's because if you reshape any blast wave, you can make the edge similar. They're called Taylor set-off blast waves. The center of this is not even remotely similar. The center is not even remotely similar. And this is just one frame. So even the very frame they claim matches doesn't match. It's not an exact match or whatever. It's not a match at all. There's nothing you can do. There's no stretching or shading that you can change the center of this to get it to match. There's nothing you can do. And this is why nobody has ever, not ever presented a list of recreation steps to get this to be a match. Nobody has actually ever presented a pixel comparison either. I've asked for a year. I said, give me a pixel comparison. Tell me how many pixels match. And then immediately they know that they get caught in the lie. And they go, well, that doesn't matter. And you're like, yes, that's literally the only thing that matters. You're the one saying that it's a match. They get caught in it. This is a great point. You can make anything look like anything. This is like basically saying, I'm going to change this around and I'm going to get this apple to look like an orange. It was always an orange now. Well, no, you just made it round. You just changed it. That's not a methodology that has any merit to it. Because again, you can change anything to look like anything. So the absolute proof that there's no VFX in these videos, this is the stock image overlaid over the zap, including the one frame right here that's similar. Again, you can see the middle, it does not match at all. You can even see the edges don't actually really line up the way that they're claiming. In fact, there's certain parts of the edges that are completely opposite, but because they overshadow the one effect of the other, you don't see that it's inverted on the backside. And then every other frame is not even remotely similar. Not even remotely similar. And this is where you realize that the Corridor Crew are liars. And they got caught in a lie. And this is why I say many times, objectively, as a literal statement of fact, the Corridor Crew are frauds and they are fake VFX artists. And if it were to go to court, I would take everything that they have. I would take everything that they have. They made a defamatory video about me. They lied to the world. They presented a falsified comparison of the effect to try to confuse people to think that they match when they don't. That's what they did. Again, statement of fact, that's what the Corridor Crew did. So again, if you're somebody out there who's been watching and you think that, oh, all you have to do is change something around, there's nothing you can change around to get these to match. Nothing you can do. And here's the real kicker. This effect that we're looking at here, this blast wave effect that we're seeing here, this isn't even CGI. This is not VFX at all. It's actually a real picture of a real explosion. How do we know that? We found the guy who made it. He sells the still images. And you can tell that this is actually a set of still images stacked on each other. So they're real images. They're not CGI. It's not made by a computer. And it was done in the 90s. Like somebody who does effects for movies, like they take images and pictures of something. This is a real effect. So this isn't CGI. This is not something where, oh, I just have to move the pixels around. It's actually a real explosion. There's nothing you can do to convert it because it's a real picture of a real thing. And then the last part about this is that this effect, this exact effect that you're looking right here, because people will say, oh, well, you don't know anything about VFX. You just change it all around and make it completely different. Nobody has ever done that that's ever used this effect before. And it's been used in major media. It's been used in Anchorman, huge movie. It's been used in Starship Troopers, huge movie. It's been used in Eastbound and Down, major TV show with Danny McBride on HBO. Never once have they ever changed the effect like this, or nothing even similar to this. Like, they've never moved the pixels around. The only modification that any of them ever made was in Eastbound and Down. They just changed the angle of it slightly. That was it. That was it. No modification of the effect, the blast, or anything like that. Those are major studios with millions and millions and millions of dollars of budget, because that's how stock effects work. You put the stock effect in to save you time and to make it look realistic. You don't change it all around. So stock effect debunk is dead. It's been dead for a long time, but people are idiots. Now, the satellite video. Now, these satellite images appeared on social media December of 2023. Here it is right here. Is this? Let me see who the original is on this. And if you notice, you can see that I'm permanently banned from Reddit at the top of the screen right here. Okay, so this fake account right here, this fake account was created December 1st, 2023. On December 7th, this account found these cloud images. So there's a fake account that found the cloud images. The VFX that we showed a second ago was also found by a fake one-day-old account. Amazing. Their argument for how they found this is completely non-plausible. I'm just going to read it verbatim for you. So I began looking at the cloud images available on that site. It only took me maybe 20 minutes before I found a perfect match of one of the cloud formations. First thing I want to say is that there are over 100 sets of images. A set includes up to 20, 30 images in it. There's 100 sets. This person claims that they just Rain Manned these clouds, and the clouds actually had to be inverted and stretched in some cases to get to match. And this person just claims that they just were like Rain Manning and were like, well, these are the clouds that match. The whole story of them making the clouds is complete fabrication. No doubt it's a fabrication. And that's why they used a fake account in order to pull it off. Now, the best part about the cloud images is that they don't even exist on the internet prior to 2016. There's no evidence they exist anywhere on the internet prior to 2016. The videos were published in 2014. That is a fact. We looked at torrents. We couldn't find the cloud images in the torrents. We looked at the archive. And in the archive, the images only go back to 2016. That's the earliest they're available on the internet. But here's the real kicker. The images that these came from are in a set. Now, do they have a link to the set? So there's 5 images or something like that that they claim have the clouds in them. Here it is. Let's look at this set right here. Oh, this is not even the full set. So where's the full set? Okay. So all these images come from Jonas, who is this person, or well, I don't know how to navigate this website, but there's basically a giant set that includes dozens of images. And here he goes. 100. No, that's not right. Oh, I don't have it flipped up. So anyway, I don't know how to navigate their website or whatever, but the other images in the same set from Jonas's camera from the same day he claims to have taken these pictures, they exist on the internet in 2012. These images, the ones that are used in this video, supposedly don't exist. So how are these 5 images just missing? Just these 5. Yeah, sorry, I can't figure out how the link works on their website. My bad. Okay, so that's the start. Images just simply don't exist prior to 2016. So that's your number one fact that is inconvenient for the people that think that these cloud images somehow prove that the videos are fake. And nobody's ever addressed that. They just say, it's just normal. Usually this is what you hear when people are bullshitting you. They just say, it's normal. It's normal, but they don't actually have any actual factual evidence to support it. Now, the next part, again, is the clouds are moving. So I'm going to show the clouds moving here. Clouds are moving. So we've got clouds moving. Not only do we have clouds moving, we have clouds that match in two different videos. Okay. So where is it? Sorry, don't have these ready to go. Where's my clouds? Oh, here it is. Cloud sync. Okay. So we've got two different clouds. Now, if you look very closely here, right here, you can see the clouds forming in the bottom video. These clouds are presumably the clouds in the lower right corner of the screen. And then the second set of clouds is clearly the clouds that are right next to the plane right here. So we have the same clouds in two different videos from two completely different perspectives. You can even triangulate the position of the drone from this. The drone is just off the screen in the satellite video over here as well. So we have definitely two videos, two different angles, clouds match, and we have clouds moving. And then the real kicker as well is that we also have accurate illumination from the zap. And I'm trying to find it. You know what? I'm just going to pull it up on my Twitter because I've got too many things open here. I posted it earlier today. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. Here. Okay, let me switch off this. Accurate illumination from the zap in 3 dimensions, and the environment is accurately illuminated as well. So there you go. Let me see if I missed any arguments here. And what else would I say? Blah, blah, blah. So this requires a 3D rendered environment. We've got matching clouds. We've got evolving clouds. And this drone video actually has dynamic parallax in it as well. So you can actually see like the kind of edge of the clouds with the parallax effect when the drone zooms in here. That's what you're seeing down here in the bottom right. Okay. So this requires a 3D rendered environment. And as far as I know, like this makes things much, much more complicated if someone were to try to fake this, especially because the window of time to fake this is only 70 days. Oh, and the other big piece too is that this Textures website, when they were confronted with this information, they started trolling people and they stopped responding to people. And they are connected to the Corridor crew, as is Jonas, and so is Mick West. Mick West, who is the person who has been promoting the VFX. They're all connected to the same people. Mick West actually admitted he knew the website owner, which is pretty damn random if you ask me. What was I going to say? Crap, I lost my train of thought. Shit. Crap. Okay. I lost my train of thought on that. Okay. So what do I think happened? Oh, yeah. The other thing I was going to point out is that we know that the VFX was planted on the internet by somebody who was trying to debunk the videos. And you say, wow, how do you know that, Ashton? Well, we caught them red-handed. Literally caught them red-handed. The asset, the Shockwave asset, the first one that we looked at, was put on the internet January 25th, 2023. Just 2 weeks after these videos got posted on Reddit for the first time in, I don't know, maybe many years, maybe the first time ever. And they were posted by someone named Wave Rider 3000. And one thing that I noticed at some point last year when I was looking at the archive of where they were uploaded to was I noticed that the person that uploaded them added the drone zap into this collage of supposed effects that are in the package, in the Pyromania package. Actually, they added it. I think this one over here is also from, or like they took maybe the Zap and superimposed it over there, but definitely this bottom right one. They actually went and copy and pasted the comparison into this to trick people into thinking that this was part of the effects in the package when it's not. And then here's the best part. After we caught them on this, I did a live stream about it. And the very next day, under 24 hours later, probably under 12 hours later, I randomly came back to this and it was no longer there anymore. They had removed it. They went in and they edited this because they knew they got caught. Wave Rider 3000 is the only person who could have done it. Wave Rider 3000 got caught in real time and they removed it. If you actually go back to this now, it's no longer here anymore. Okay. And so it turns out we followed up with the person who made that effect originally, and there's somebody who does contract work for the DoD and the Department of Energy. Amazing. That's how we also found out that it's a real effect and not VFX at all. It's like actual still images. So what do I think happened with the satellite video? So obviously somebody planted that. They found something that looked similar and they put it on the internet, and they used a one-day-old Reddit account to say, oh, I found this on the internet in some random spot. Hey, guys, here you go. This debunks it. And that's what they use to ban discussion off of Reddit. They've also banned me off of Reddit because you can't have people countering your narrative. That destroys the brainwashing. And then the satellite image. Well, a 6-day-old Reddit account that obviously lied about how they found the images. There's only one plausible explanation, in my opinion. My opinion is that the intelligence agencies, the NSA, the CIA, took the real satellite imagery and they injected it onto somebody's hard drive and injected it onto the website. Bada bing, bada boom. That's all you got to do. Injected it on there over some existing images, or maybe just added it. And there you go. Boom. Made it look like it's a raw file. I mean, you just literally copy the details from the other images. Simple as that. Why do we think that? Well, Jonas himself made a debunk video in under an hour. And he didn't even recognize his own images on the website. He also pointed out that something looked different in the images that were the ones that were used compared to the other set, which is pretty obvious when you look at them. They don't have the same angle on them at all. And all the images that were supposedly used in the satellite video were taken just like 1 to 2 seconds after one another. Within a 10-second window, you've got someone taking 5 pictures. So you're a photographer who's taking scenes of images to put online. They need to be perfectly still and what have you. And you take 5 pictures in 10 seconds? Some of them from different angles? That's quite quick, especially compared to the other pictures, which were taken over several minutes and have a much bigger disparity in terms of how quickly they were taken. It literally just looks like somebody planted those pictures on there. They messed around with the metadata to make it look like they are part of an existing set. So once again, the strongest evidence, though, is that the images simply don't exist on the internet before 2016. Simple as that. Images don't exist on the internet. Those are the only 2 debunks that have any merit whatsoever. So there you go. Okay, we've wasted enough time on the debunk attempts that are out there. There's also somebody named Joe Lancaster. Is that his name, Lancaster? I think it's Lancaster. And I'm not really planning on going through this space. He held this space after I called him out. Nobody ended up joining. He sat in there for like 50 minutes by himself. And then he just proceeded to lie. Several times. The biggest lie that he made, trying to claim that he made the videos when he 100% did not make the videos. He claimed that I knew and had some private conversation with him about him making the videos, which is a lie right off the bat. He claimed that we're looking at motion blur. These dark lines in front of the orbs, he claimed was motion blur. He's 100% a fraud. This is not motion blur. Anybody who's ever worked in VFX knows that we're not looking at motion blur right here. So, and Nathaniel Hicks went into the space and absolutely destroyed him. The biggest destruction actually that Nathan Hicks did was he said the guy was claiming that this is the weirdest thing. Like, he talks about the videos like he didn't make them, because he didn't make them. He says that if this was a real drone video, it shouldn't shake at all. There's a very minor amount of shake. And when you zoom in, the shake increases. And he argued it shouldn't shake at all if it was real. And Nathaniel Hicks is like, but wait, you're the guy that made it, right? Like, if you know that it shouldn't shake and this doesn't look right, why did you add shake to it? And he couldn't answer because he obviously didn't make the videos. It's like, and Nathaniel Hicks is like, why would you add an extra level of detail that you know is incorrect? You wouldn't. And he's like, but they're just easy to make. They'd be easy to make. And he tried to claim that somebody made these videos to go on the background in a television, in the background of a short film. Nobody is going through the effort required to make these videos so that they can be on a television in the background. Doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make any sense at all. So yeah, this the best part is he's like, look at the shake that you see here, right? That's real natural shake, like if you're zooming in on a camera. And the guy tried to claim that drones are perfectly stable and it should be perfectly still. And Nathaniel Hicks is like, well, if that's the case, then you would have just made it perfectly still. And he was like, I don't get what you're saying. Like, guy's a fucking idiot. So I don't know what's wrong, like why people have like this, like literally, I don't know, like pathological lying or whatever. And he tried to grift people out of like $800. He's like, I'll remake it for $800, blah, blah, blah. Like, guys, do not give this guy a penny. Do not give him a penny. It's ironic that people will try to call me a grifter and then they're going to try to grift people out of $800 by lying and claiming they made these videos. Nobody made these videos. There is no hoaxer. These are real military videos. That's an objective fact. You cannot prove it to be a lie because they're real videos, guys. And the other thing I want to point out here is that I know these videos are real. I know these videos are real. Let me say this. So actually, you know what? Let's finish. Let that play out. There's no VFX in there whatsoever. There's nothing that's VFX. I've said this before, but I haven't said it recently. I know these videos are real. I know these videos are real. Okay. There was two different people. Artisan Tony was one of them, and this guy Greer. They've tried, these people like try to like catch me in a bluff or something. And they're like, I know who really made the videos, and I'm going to tell you on this day or whatever. I think like in their minds, they're thinking like that I'd be like, oh, you got me, blah, 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 or something like that. And I just called them. I said, no, you don't. No, you don't. And I said, you don't know who made the videos because nobody made the videos. So I've had two different people do this, two different debunkers, both try to claim this. Like the amount of people that tried to lie on the debunker side is astronomical. It only takes me seconds to prove that they're liars. Like I've proven that, what's his name again? Joe Lancaster's a liar. 100% proven. Didn't make the videos. I've proven that Artisan Tony is a liar. Said that he knew who made the videos. He lied. I confronted him on a space about it, and he had a meltdown. Greer said that he knew who made the videos. He also lied. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I know that nobody made the videos. So people say, well, Ashton, how do you know that nobody made these videos, right? Well, the evidence alone is good enough. The evidence alone is good enough. But I'm going to go ahead and go up to this. And I'm not going to say exactly how because I don't want to get anybody in trouble that's out there. So what I'm going to say is this. Just ask Marco Rubio or Chuck Schumer about the videos. Ask them about what they know about the missing plane. Marco Rubio and Chuck Schumer are in something called the Senate Intelligence Committee, guys. Senate Intelligence Committee. These guys have been on TV talking about UFOs. Marco Rubio has talked about that these things are a threat to our aerospace. Chuck Schumer has been trying to pass these UAP bills or whatever. Ask them about the videos, guys. Ask them about it. I want to watch them lie on television. I'm not going to say more than that because I don't want to show my hand, but I know the videos are real. Ask Chuck Schumer. Ask Marco Rubio about the videos. Hell, ask President Barack Obama. Ask the Director of National Intelligence, former director, James Clapper. James Clapper was responsible when this plane disappeared. So was Barack Obama. So was former CIA Director John Brennan. They know. You can even ask Avril Haines. She's the current Director of National Intelligence under Biden. How do I know she knows? She was the assistant director under Obama, and then she got the promotion under Joe Biden. She was the one that justified Obama drone striking innocent civilians in Afghanistan and Iraq. Avril Haines knows as well. So the mainstream media needs to do their job. Now, some questions. What do you think was on the plane? Well, probably microchips, but something more important than cargo. Intellectual property. The 20 Freescale Semiconductor employees are the reason why they took the plane. The same way where, let me pull this image up. Where did I save it? Here we go. And then we're going to dig into some other stuff here in a minute. We've done enough. This is a screenshot of a tweet by Robert J. O'Neill, who shot Osama bin Laden. September 9th of this year, just a few days ago. Malaysian Flight 370 was never a mystery. It was a warning to China. The warning was, stop trying to steal our technology. The other warning is, if you try to mess with us, we're going to orb you to the next dimension. And I mean that, I don't mean that literally. I just mean like figuratively. We will make you disappear. If you're Z or if you're Putin and you know that America has 0 point energy that can just zap a plane out of existence or wherever they want to send it, you are not going to mess around with America. So that's your motive. Where did the plane go? Diego Garcia. Plane went to Diego Garcia. That's where everybody said the plane went. Like the Malaysian people know the plane went to Diego Garcia, and they've been literally just trolling Google and the U.S. government because they know. It's only in the West where we don't realize that this plane went to Diego Garcia. And the way we know that here, this is our suspected flight path. Up here in the top right is where we think the plane teleported based on the coordinates in the video. Based on the direction of travel of the plane, this plane is being teleported somewhere to the west. And then it appears over here at some point. It might be time delayed. We don't know. Physics gets pretty weird with respect to time. And then this plane is flying south to Diego Garcia. And we know because there's 20 islanders, 15 to 20 islanders see the plane on this island right here. Okay. So there you go. So I think we've addressed some of the major questions about this stuff. I'm not into Nazca mummies. I'm not into aliens. I'm not actually into even conspiracies, really. Although I think now that I've seen the biggest conspiracy of all time, I'm more open to them than I was in the past. But we're going to start talking about the alien stuff here in a second. Because we got some clips that we're going to play. Let's see. So let me take a look at my list here. Oh, there's a couple other Reddit stuff I want to do. I actually almost never go to Reddit anymore. So recap on Reddit. I made a MH370X subreddit last year this time. I got banned within like 2 weeks. Banned within 2 weeks. They never gave me any reason why. I appealed and they refused to give me a reason why on appeal as well. I've been banned multiple times, not permanently, but individually multiple times from the UFO subreddit. They didn't want me to post. They didn't even let me respond when people were talking about me. They banned me. So like there's complete narrative control on social media, especially on Reddit. There's a lot of mentally ill people on Reddit. I'd say like 75% of the people are just completely disconnected from reality, and not in a good way, in a very, very bad way. The flight simulators data from the pilot is not MH370 related at all. So that was actually misinformation that was pushed by Jeff Wise. It was actually ruled out by the FBI and it was ruled out by the officials. There was nothing suspicious about it whatsoever. And the real death blow is that it was actually MH150 to Jeddah. I have absolute proof. I'm going to show it to you right now. This is actually all MH150 flights over like a 2-month period. And you can see that they perfectly match the simulator route. And so what they did was they took the simulator route, which was just MH150 to Jeddah, and they added a diversion point, which is just like a custom waypoint, and they pretended like they go together when they don't. And this doesn't even match the flight path of the actual plane. The plane went somewhere over here to Igari, which is way over to the northeast. And then it flew back to Penang. So this doesn't even match the flight path. And for the record, this is literally the simulator data. You're staring at. The red line is the simulator data. It's MH150 from Kuala Lumpur to Jeddah. So this was Jeff Wise. If he's not a disinformation agent, he's just a retard. He's just a retard. There's no way to put it. Jeff Wise is responsible for the most misinformation about MH370 more than anybody else on the entire planet. Jeff Wise is the guy from the Netflix documentary. He also vilified Blaine Gibson. Crazy. Oh, okay. One more thing I'm going to address is the debris. Why did that not load? Okay, there it goes. Okay, the debris. Here he goes. The debris. Okay, debris shows up on the wrong continent, guys. Down here is where the plane crashed. You can see this yellow line. Supposedly, this is where the plane crashed. We never found anything down there. All the debris drift analysis says the debris should have washed up in Western Australia. The currents flow to the east. And yet, look at where this debris is showing up. It's physically, listen to me carefully, physically impossible for this debris to have washed anywhere near this crash site, anywhere near it, over to Africa. This is where people go, well, the ocean's really big. And you go, yes, but the satellite pings indicate the plane crashed over here in the South Indian Ocean. The whole narrative is this plane crashed in the South Indian Ocean. So if this yellow line is not correct, that means the satellite pings are fraudulent. So which is it? Are the satellite pings correct or are the satellite pings fraudulent? If the satellite pings are fraudulent, which must be the case for this debris to be from MH370, then the story completely changed. Then there's no evidence whatsoever the plane went in the South Indian Ocean. So let me be clear. The only evidence that the plane went into the South Indian Ocean is the satellite pings. And the satellite pings and the location based on them is contraindicated by the debris. You can't believe that this is debris from MH370 and believe that the plane crashed in the South Indian Ocean. It's not physically possible. Not physically possible. So you have to choose. Did the plane crash in the South Indian Ocean, or is this debris from MH370? One or the other. Can't be both. I've chosen the debris is from MH370, which means where did that debris go into the water? It's actually not enough debris to even prove the plane crashed. The plane can fly and it can land without a flapper on, which is the largest piece that was found by far. Well, when you look at this map right here, look at what's a much better indicator of where this debris could have drifted from in 1 year. Oh, Diego Garcia. Actually, the ocean currents match perfectly for Diego Garcia entry point. There you go. There you go. And how do you fake the coordinates before they're publicly known? Now, this is something I should have brought up as well with the satellite image, because the satellite video has coordinates in the bottom left down here. In the bottom left of this video, if you zoom in, and I'll make this message go away, you can see coordinates in the bottom left. These coordinates move when the perspective shifts, and they move accurately. This is not a random number generator. These are accurate shifts. I am the only person on the planet that proved these coordinates indicate the Nicobar Islands, the exact location where this plane supposedly turned into the South Indian Ocean, which never happened, because what we're seeing here is what really happened to the plane. How would you know to put the plane with these coordinates that you see down here? Let me make this. These coordinates you see right down there, how would you know to put that plane in that location before the satellite pings are even available? The satellite pings were not publicly available until March 27th or May 27th, 2014. That's 8 days after this video was already published. Before that, all there was this graph that was like, that meant nothing. Even the experts couldn't make any sense of the graph. That alone should be absolute proof. So I don't need to prove that there's not some pictures from some textures website that doesn't even predate the videos. I don't have to prove any of that. I've already got proof that the videos are real. And I already know the videos are real. And I told you guys, talk to Chuck Schumer, talk to Marco Rubio about it. Ask them if they've heard anything about those videos. Let's see what they have to say publicly. I guarantee you almost anything, they're going to say no comment or I can't speak about that. That's what they're going to say. And I'm happy for them to lie. I want them to lie. I'm daring them to lie on national television because I'm going to take the hammer and I'm going to blast it on down. Okay? Yeah, I want a response from Marco Rubio as well. Okay, so if I missed your question because I was ranting or there, can you repost it in the chat so I can take a quick look at that as well? Nathaniel Hicks is here. Nathaniel, you were the hero, man. I listened to, like, I kind of skipped through some of that space, but I wanted to hear what the guy was saying. And I knew right away he was full of shit. So full of shit. He lied like a dozen times. Nathaniel Hicks, you nailed him. And you didn't get upset or anything. He actually got mad at you when you pointed out that the camera shake, like, why would you add the camera shake if that's not how it's supposed to look? He's like, this isn't what a drone video looks like. And you're like, but you're the one who made it. So at least according to you. So, like, why would you make it look wrong? Why would you add extra effort to make it look wrong? If it's not supposed to have camera shake, you just wouldn't add camera shake. That's an extra detail you had to go out of your way to add. But the best part, too, is that we know that Joe Lancaster didn't make the videos because he never pointed out this very minute detail here where you can actually see the orb displacing the smoke that's coming out of the back of the plane. You can see it right there. It's unambiguous. That orb is displacing the smoke that's coming out of the back of the plane with accurate fluid dynamics. I had 3 different people who were experts on computerized fluid dynamics that said, yep, that's accurate. That would be extremely difficult to fake. And if you were the person that made this video and you added this small detail in there, you would know about that detail and you would have brought it up before we found it. You would say, I can prove this video is fake because I added this small detail that nobody ever found. That would be a really good way to do it. But they didn't find it because he didn't make the videos, because nobody made these videos. These are real videos. And this, when I posted this for the first time, this got a lot of views because a lot of people look at this, people that are normie people, and they go, yeah, that's pretty hard to fake. Like, how do you fake that? You know, especially if it's just a project that you're doing on the side, or you just made it in a few hours, you would never add this detail, never in a million years. In fact, I might repost that later. None of the families ever approached me, and I don't blame them, man. Like, look at what we're talking about. We're talking about literal teleportation being possible. It's hard to believe, even if you believe that there's a cover up. Keep in mind this, guys. Actually, I'm going to lower my thing a little bit here. Oh God. Okay. Even if you believe in conspiracies, even people that believe aliens are visiting us, they can't even believe these videos because it's so much to accept. I mean, this is like my whole life is a lie type stuff, right? Like, if we have been hiding technology like this, like Dr. Greer says that we've been hiding this 0-point energy for decades and decades and decades, like, this means like we've been absorbing bullshit for a long time. Not a lot of people are open-minded enough to even begin to accept that. So this is why I understand when people are skeptical, but there's just way, way, way too much evidence that the videos are real. Way, way, way too much. And for the record, I'm certainly not doing this for money. In fact, if I was doing this for money, I wouldn't be doing this at all because I make so little money from this. It's not worth my time. I would make more money just working overtime at my real job than doing this. I've never charged anybody for an interview. I've done as many interviews as I can manage. I've never even added memberships to my YouTube or to my Twitter account. I have never paywalled any information out there at all. I've never sold anything related to the case. Nothing. So to think that I'm doing this for money is extremely, extremely ridiculous. Especially when there's people on TV literally selling books to people, trying to tell them that the aliens are visiting us and shit like that. Like, come on, man. Get off me with that. Hey, Crypto. Appreciate you, brother. And Bernie, I need a link to wherever your donate to you thing is, so I'm gonna just donate a little bit for your cause, because I know you were in a tough situation. So thank you, brother. Okay. Oh, the Y files. I sent the stuff to the Y files, but it bounced back. I have the wrong email or something, so I don't know how to get in touch with them. Honestly, kind of sucks. So I don't know. I mean, it's not a rush. I don't care. This case is never going away. These videos are never going away until the U.S. government tells us what they know. We know the U.S. government knows what happened to this plane. So until that day comes, I don't care what people on social media say. I don't care what YouTubers say. I certainly don't care what debunkers say. These videos are never going away until the U.S. government addresses them. Simple as that. Have I had a conversation with Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan will probably end up coming around at some point, but he's been getting misled by Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, who are absolutely controlled. The same people that control Lou Elizondo control Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. It doesn't mean that everything they're saying is fake. Keep in mind this. Just because somebody lies doesn't mean everything they're saying is fake. But they are absolutely controlling the perceptions of Joe Rogan, managing his perceptions, and they're making sure that it says we can't know what it is. It's aliens, as opposed to like, oh yeah, we've been reverse engineering 0-point energy for decades, and we've made major breakthroughs, and we could have energy independence, but we just can't give it to people because it's dangerous. You know, like that's an honest take. So whenever Joe Rogan wants to talk to me, I'll be happy to talk to him. I'll even talk to him about the debunks. I mean, I'll basically just do exactly what I did at the beginning of this live stream. But that's not really what I want to talk about, but I understand how it's necessary. And nothing's off limits when I do an interview. I don't require softball questions. I have no list of demands. Whatever people want to talk about, I'm down with doing it. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Okay. I think we're ready for some clips. Yeah, Faker also would not put the heat signature in the belly of the aircraft. That is a very, very weird detail, especially because the heat signature in the drone video accurately morphs as well. So it's like it would be a painstaking process to manipulate every frame. And that's why the drone video, most people are like too afraid to even try to recreate this because it's impossible. This video is 100% impossible to recreate. People say you can fake anything. You can't fake this video. This video is way too much detail. I mean, look at that. Look at the heat signature in the belly. Look at how it morphs. Every time I pause it, it's different. There's no effect that can do that. That it would require manual intervention on every single frame. No chance. So, but yeah, it just goes to show how many details there are that basically prove these videos are real. No, please do not spam podcasters. People think that if they spam people, it helps me. It does not. It actually does the opposite. When you spam people and you're like, you need to talk to this guy, you need to talk to this guy, it's okay to like message it once. Do not spam people about it. That makes people less and less inclined. And I'm not trying to force people to have me on. If people want to talk to me, I'm available. That's it. Truthfully, I do not care at all about going on certain podcasts or what have you. Like, the videos will be proven to be true over time, and the science will be proven to be true over time. And I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush at all. But I am going to take advantage of the waves where people are, paying attention to them. Now, I wanted to look at something on Reddit, but I couldn't find it. There's been I don't know what the hell's going on this subreddit, but this is the debunker subreddit. It's filled with nut jobs, but there's some good people on here as well. I don't even know what these people are getting at. There's all these pictures of satellite videos with either no stitch. I don't even know what side of the argument some of these people are on, to be honest with you. I think that a lot of these deleted ones are this guy, Punjabi Batman. He messaged me like long time ago, almost a year ago. And I liked what he was doing, but I didn't really agree with everything that he was doing. And I think this is him. It's kind of got the trademarks of him where he would like kind of change the videos and look at them. And some of his arguments are pretty compelling. And other ones are not as compelling, which I think discredits him a little bit. Like when he shows there's parallax in the drone and the cloud videos in the drone video are very accurate, I think that's very compelling. But when he makes some of his other arguments about showing that there's stitching or something like that or whatever, like it's not as compelling. But they have been trying to censor him hard. In fact, it seems like what they did here was they added filters and restrictions. This was, I don't know how long ago this was, 23 days ago. And they made it so that Okay. Oh wait. They like basically, if you have a new account, you can't post on the board anymore. And I think this is so that they could stop Punjabi Batman from posting content, which is, guys, it should be major red flags if if the subreddit dedicated to the videos doesn't let you post stuff about the videos. In fact, they start arguing that he must be a disinformation agent, which is the thickest irony possible, considering that they are literally censoring the entire topic off the Reddit, and only people that are debunkers are like allowed to post stuff. And if you post something contrary to that, they just downvote you, or they claim that you're an idiot or whatever. It's like, if you thought the videos were fake, like, you wouldn't even be on this website. You would just move on with your life. The thing that scares these people is the videos are real. This Silverhound guy is a complete fucking nut job too. This guy is complete psychopath. He came onto Twitter after they banned me from Reddit. They banned me from this subreddit. They banned me from their Discord within like 5 minutes. This nut job, Silverhound, came onto Twitter. You can find his Twitter account. It's the same name as his Reddit. And basically started harassing me. And he literally admitted that he came to Twitter because he wouldn't get banned for harassing me on Twitter. But if he harassed me on Reddit, he would get banned for it. Like, he literally just admitted that. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with these fucking nut jobs, man? The post I wanted to find here, I can't find it. There was a post a while back that somebody said they posted on the UFOs subreddit the case after it got very big on Redacted a few days ago. And the moderators of the UFO subreddit removed it, and everybody was attacking them because Redditors are just complete nut jobs. Like, they can't distinguish reality from fiction. And then, okay, this was the post. We can't find the other post or whatever, but this was the one that I also thought was interesting. So the other person posted like, hey, I'm not familiar with these videos, but I tried to post this cool interview I saw in Redacted that has like 500,000 views, and the moderators shut it down. I think they deleted that person's post off of this Discord as well. Goes to show how massive they're trying to censor. They're trying to control the narrative over these videos very, very powerfully. Because if people start to look at the evidence, they're going to realize very quickly these videos are real, and they can't have that. The U.S. government, by the way, 100% controls the UFO subreddit beyond any shadow of a doubt. And I don't know if they control this one or if these guys are just dumbasses and debunkers, whatever, don't care. This one here says, this is a great point. If the videos are fake, what's the motive? What's the motive for faking the videos? Like, there isn't any. Why would you not collect $150,000? We had a bounty for $150,000. For the record, nobody collected 1 cent. I've seen people out there saying like Kim.com paid out somebody. No, nobody got paid. Jonas, the guy who took the pictures, was offered $10,000. All he had to do was sign an affidavit saying the pictures were legit. And he said he would do it. I recorded it. And then the next day said he never agreed to sign an affidavit and backtracked. It's crazy. Nobody ever got paid a cent. Bounty was never met. There's no psychological profile for somebody to fake these videos. There's no plausible story. And that's what this person points out. And the moment you point this out, like, this is just, I'm going to read this. This is just a logical argument, right? Why would someone make a fake video about this event? There have been many, many people who have tried to fake stuff like this before. False claims about interactions with UAPs, many hoaxes. It's safe to say these hoaxes were seeking attention, fame, or money. Yet when it comes to this video, it gets barely any attention for years and years. 10 years, no attention. Then all of a sudden, it explodes into relevance. A $150,000 reward to the hoaxer if they can just come forward with the source files. Nobody ever does. I'm pretty sure making $150,000 would be the greatest individual profit for a fake UFO video ever. And this is why the bounty was such a great move, because it proves there is no motivation for anyone to fake these videos. If you're not doing it for money, what are you doing it for? This goes to show that there's no way this can be a fake video. If somebody had faked this, they would have come forward. There's no way to claim that they didn't know about it. We've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of views, if not billions of impressions on this. And what are people's answers? They just do it for fun. No answer. They just did it for no reason. You ask people to recreate the videos, and they say, no, I'm not going to spend my effort on that. It takes too much time. Nobody can recreate the videos. Somebody just did it for fun. They made 2 perfectly in sync videos of military videos of a plane disappearing with coordinates of the real location of the plane for fun. Showing information that's like consistent with defense intelligence research documents. No. There's no logical explanation for who faked the videos. None at all. And this is why it's so important to make people address the story. What's your story for who faked the videos? There isn't one. There's no comprehensive story. It's like my story has dozens of puzzle pieces that all fit together. Debunkers have like 2 puzzle pieces and they say, well, these puzzle pieces, they make a picture. We don't have to tell what the picture is. They just make one. It's absurd. Okay, I think we're good on all of that. We're not going to talk about Reddit anymore. Yeah, there's a massive disinformation propaganda campaign. It's most likely being run by private military contractors who are not directly under the government, but they're contractors for the government. This is what shields the NSA and CIA from any scrutiny, because if anyone were to get caught, it's never going to lead back to the intelligence agencies. They just contract it out. Simple as that. And this is why, like, you see these people are obsessed. Like, how many posts did you see on that Reddit? Like, the moment these videos get popular again, and what you'll notice is the moment I did this intentionally, I announced the Candace Owens interview ahead of time because I knew they would freak out, because Candace Owens has millions and millions and millions of followers. So I announced it intentionally, and the exact thing I expected, they start freaking out. The moment these videos start to get popular, all the disinformation agents, all the debunkers start freaking out because they desperately need people to not pay attention to the videos. And they need to spread the narrative that these videos are debunked. Don't look at them. Don't look at them, everybody. Close your eyes. Don't believe what you're seeing with your eyes. It's crazy. And I missed Bernie's post if he told me where I can donate to him. The biggest people that I've talked to in terms of money and authority, well, I can't talk about some of the people that I've spoken to, but with respect to authority, but let's talk about podcasters. Alex Jones, Coast to Coast AM, Glenn Beck, Redacted, Clayton Morris on Redacted. I've spoken to Candace Owens now. I've heard that Patrick Bet David, I'm on the list. I don't know. I'm probably near the bottom, but maybe I'm on there. I've also got other people that I'm not going to announce right yet, but might be happening in the near future as well. So there's some pretty big names. People are getting interested. And as time goes on and the science starts to catch up, people are going to want to talk to me more and more, I presume, because they're going to realize like these videos are real. The debunks are full of shit. And there's obviously a disinformation campaign to try to get people to not pay attention to the videos. So, okay. So let's get to the good stuff here. So Lou Elizondo was on with Patrick Bet David today. Just happened. Let's watch the beginning of this, chat. Wait, why does it do that? Wait for it. I'm sorry, what? Did you just see what I just saw, chat? You just see what I just saw? This is the official interview. Oh, it was, yeah, you don't need to hear anything. There's nothing you need to hear here, but yeah, if that was muted, let me replay it. Let me add it back. Should have been able to see that. Did you see that the drone video? This is the interview with Lue Elizondo. They edited in the MH370 videos in the beginning of it.
Challenge any preconceived notions or narratives that you have. The American population absolutely cannot have this discussion. They cannot handle the truth. It will cause.
Hello. Yahtzee. So now we know that Patrick Bet David is, at least we're on his radar. We're on his radar. He edited in the videos into the intro of Lue Elizondo, talking about we're not ready for this. Literally talking about we're not ready for this. Yeah, I knew you guys were going to love this, man. Holy shit, chat. We are making waves, man. We are making waves. Guys, I love you guys, man. I love you guys. I love you guys because you guys have been along on this journey with me as well. You guys have been along the journey, so you know this is as meaningful for you guys as for me. Because the fact that they're editing this into literally Lou Elizondo's like
People
interview.
to lose faith in their religions.
One more time, chat. The fact they're editing that clip in there shows you like this is starting to hit the zeitgeist. And this is what we want. We want it so that people cannot ignore these videos. God dang it. Why can't I? What's going on here? We want to make it so that people cannot ignore these
Have
videos.
this discussion. They cannot handle the truth. It will cause people to lose faith in their religions, their faith and confidence in government.
I love it, chat. I love it. Okay. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. So that makes me think, maybe Patrick Bet-David will maybe he'll reach out to me soon. Maybe he will. Maybe he already did, and I'm not telling you guys. Who knows? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, but here's the crazy part. We've had no mainstream coverage. Not any at all on any mainstream channels, not on any mainstream news. Nobody's ever reached out to me from mainstream. It's all podcasters. And basically at this point, if you're not every single major podcaster that exists, I'm on their radar. Even Lex Friedman, I had DMs with him a year ago. Sean Ryan had DMs with Sean Ryan a year ago. Joe Rogan had DMs with Joe Rogan. And Patrick Bet-David, I haven't had direct DMs with, but like Vincent Oshara has talked about me, and we know we're in the mix with some of these guys that were out there. So pretty wild. Now we're going to actually watch some clips we're actually just going to watch one clip from that interview. And I don't think we're going to watch the whole thing, because here's the thing. If Patrick Bet-David is watching this right now, if he has me come on, I'm going to shred Lue Elizondo. I'm going to shred him. I'm going to shred Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp as well. In fact, I'm going to shred them on every single interview I do from now on, because I know they're full of shit at this point. And it's not that they're lying about everything. Like I said, you can be a liar and you can still tell the truth. But they are absolutely covering up 0 point energy, and that the government has 0 point energy. They're covering it up. And they're taking the narrative and they're trying to control the narrative in a way where they can remain credible, but they can have people focused on this idea that we don't know what it is. It's aliens, but we don't really know. And we can't possibly have figured this technology out. It's just too advanced. It's too far out there for us. And I can pretty much prove that Lou Elizondo knows. And I can prove it showing clips that will shred him. And I'm going to show them to you guys right now. So let's start with this clip. Okay. Let me hold on. Let's pause this. Come on, pause. There we go. Okay, so this is a clip of both Dr. Greer and Lue Elizondo from. So this is Sean Ryan. This is when Lue Elizondo was on Sean Ryan, and Sean Ryan asked him about it. And then Lue Elizondo's reacting. Okay.
Those operatives are taught very well to take an issue, grab it, capture it, and then spin it in the direction that they want. Now, the direction they want is endless ambiguity. Gee, we don't know what they are. We don't know what they are. It's nonsense. We've proven what they are. Well, I have 755 whistleblowers.
You have 755 whistleblowers?
Yeah. I mean, this archive is unbelievable.
You had mentioned that you.
What do you think about what he says? Because, well, where are the whistleblowers? And I'll tell you, isn't he the same guy?
This is crazy. There's 2 times now Lue Elizondo's been caught. One of them was by Glenn Beck when he brought up the MH370 videos, and his demeanor just completely changed. You could just tell right away. And we're going to watch that clip again in a second. But this one, he gets caught off guard because he's like, hey, this guy I interviewed, Dr. Greer, is calling you a disinformation agent and saying that you know what this is, and you're presenting this idea of like, we can't know what it's all about. It's some unknown alien stuff. And that they're basically like trying to discredit him as opposed to address the evidence. And this is exactly how Lue Elizondo responds. There's no way Lou Elizondo is not familiar with Dr. Greer. How do I know that? Because I'm doing basically the same thing Lou Elizondo's doing. The very first thing I did is I want to understand the framework of who all these people are. So to claim this guy's a counterintelligence, but he doesn't know who Dr. Greer is, come on.
They wrote an article about, if I'm not mistaken, who apparently was accused of taking people on a tour and then paying some dude to pay, like $500 to drop flares out of a Cessna.
So his first thing he says is he just poisons the well. He claims he doesn't know anything about him. The first thing he does is drop disinformation and say, wasn't this guy accused of this random thing that discredits him? Being accused of something is not proof. That's like me saying, hey, wasn't Lou Elizondo accused of never being involved in ATIP? Yeah, he was. Does that mean he wasn't? Like, how would Lou Elizondo like it if I go on Patrick Bet-David and I go, hey, wasn't this Lou Elizondo guy like accused of being a total piece of shit liar and he just wasn't even part of ATIP at all and turned out that was a big lie? Right? I don't think Lou Elizondo would like it very much. Instead, that's exactly what he does to Dr. Greer right here. And for the record, I'm not 100% like on Dr. Greer's side or anything. I'm just calling it like I see it.
Is that the same guy?
I don't know that.
Is that this? He said, is that the same guy? You know exactly what the fuck you're doing right now, Lou Elizondo. You know what you're doing right now. This guy's a trained counter intel guy, and he's just sitting here like, I see right through this guy. I'm seeing right through Lou Elizondo. He knows exactly what he's doing right here. Well, is that the same guy? I don't know. I mean, was it this guy with this very specific incident that I'm going to bring up right now that's just an allegation? Of course you fucking know Dr. Greer. Are you kidding me? I'm going to prove it in a second.
I think there was an article. We can. I think it was done by the Debrief. I think.
He's so full of shit. Look at him lying right here. There was this article. I think it was done by the Debrief. Yeah, you know exactly what the fuck you're talking about right now, Lou Elizondo. He knows exactly what he's doing right here. He's not, oh, I've never heard of this guy. You fucking know him. Of course you know him. How do I know Lou Elizondo knows Dr. Greer? Because one of those whistleblowers that he just mentioned, where are the whistleblowers? One of them is called Hal Puthoff. Oh, do you remember when you were like into the Stars Academy with Hal Puthoff? Do you remember when you name dropped Hal Puthoff in the Glenn Beck interview? Do you remember when you name dropped Hal Puthoff in the Joe Rogan interview? Well, that was one of the whistleblowers Dr. Greer is talking about. I have an interview with him. We were watching it the other day. I'm going to show you a clip in a second. So it's crazy that the disinformation this guy is pushing right here. He's a terrible liar. I mean, look at his face right here. You can tell he's doing this terrible poker face where he's trying to pretend like he's recalling information that he just knows. Like he had this whole thing ready to go.
Anyways, you know, my mom always told me if I have nothing kind to say, don't say it at all. So
I have nothing kind to say, don't say it at all. But by the way, wasn't this guy that he just basically just drops disinformation about him and then goes, I have nothing kind to say about him. Fuck you, Lou Elizondo. Jesus.
I've never met the man. But you know, it's nonsense. I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, look.
It's like, it's nonsense. What do you mean it's nonsense? You're not even addressing the allegations. He's literally asking you if you're pushing this idea that it must be aliens because you don't want to admit that it's U.S. government technology. It's a very specific line of inquiry. It's nonsense. I'm going to poison the well, and then I'm just going to say it's nonsense, and I'm not going to address the question. And hey, by the way, here's my book right next to me. He's got his book sitting right next to him. What is this shit? Are you kidding me?
Where are the whistleblowers? You know, when I went to the IG, you know, and had my conversation, I didn't see any of them. You know, I know the ones that we talk to. We go to Congress and we talk to Congress. I haven't seen him. Where are the whistleblowers?
Where are the whistleblowers? Where are the whistleblowers, chat? Yeah, where are they? Which one is this? Where are the whistleblowers?
Called empty space isn't really empty at all. It's actually full of energy. So instead of being like kind of a quiet, empty lake, it's more like the froth at the base of a waterfall or something. And this energy is basically electromagnetic.
For the record, this is Hal Puthoff talking to Dr. Stephen Greer. This is Hal Puthoff talking to Dr. Stephen Greer in his archive right here.
Nature, and the energy density is quite high. In fact, it's so high that when it was first discovered mathematically, it was thought to be some kind of artifact of the mathematics. But then as time went on, there were even Nobel Prize winning experiments that showed that this energy in so-called empty space was really there. We don't usually notice it because it's so homogeneously distributed. It'd sort of be like sitting in a bathtub with at exactly your body temperature. You might not notice the water. But under certain circumstances, it can be disturbed or perturbed, and then it has effects. As I mentioned, some effects on atomic emission, for example.
So let's go to the next clip. So there's Hal Puthoff. We can see him talking to Dr. Greer as part of his disclosure archive. He's clearly talking about he's one of the 700 whistleblowers or whatever, right? So there he is. Now let's go to the next clip.
Tell the audience what you say about when you were briefed in the skiff from your main scientist on how they think.
Who do you guys think the main scientist is, chat? Who do you think the main scientist in the skiff that he's talking about here? Oh, it's Hal fucking Puthoff again.
UAPs work with, I think you call them warp bubbles.
Yeah, and actually that wasn't my term. The U.S. government. So let's kind of backtrack here just a little bit. Let's rewind. One of the arguments is that the vastness of space is so great.
I'm going to skip through part of this because I don't want to go into all this, but I think somewhere around here he mentions Hal Puthoff by name.
Of UFOs from small lenticular. Think of a sports car, maybe hold 3 or 4 people. You need something bigger. Well, you could put 2 discs together, but really end to end. But that's more of a cigar shape, right? So, okay, you got 2 bubbles now. And then if I want something really big, I could go out 90 degrees, put another bubble maker here, and that's your triangle, the larger triangle craft. So it was a very interesting theory. And the scientists came up with that, and it made a lot of sense to the other scientists.
Do you think that's where we're at now? Is that what we think it is? I mean, not saying that it's right, but is that where we are, or is that where we were when you were?
No, that's where we were, and I'm fairly confident that theory, that it's more of a hypothesis, I guess, is still accurate. But those are you would need to talk to the scientists about that. People like Hal Puthoff can give you the specifics. Yes, that is.
Got him, chat. Got him. Oh, just name drops Hal Puthoff right there, everybody. Like, how is he going to pretend like he doesn't know about Dr. Greer when he literally was in ATIP with Hal Puthoff right after Hal Puthoff was talking to Dr. Greer in his whistleblower disclosure archive? Crazy. So let's run the next clip. So in response to this, here's another clip of Dr. Greer talking about this. Actually just dropped today. So Dr. Greer actually just did an interview that just dropped. Why does this is crazy. I don't understand why I can't, like, the buttons aren't working. There we go. Okay. Here we go. So this interview just dropped today, chat. And this, like, man, Dr. Greer is at his best when he is just talking about science and technology. When he's talking about aliens and CE5, it's too far in the woo. When he's just talking about 0-point energy and technology, he's over the mark. And I do want to shout out Jeremy Reese. I saw him in the chat. Because here's the thing I want to say about Jeremy Reese is that I wasn't sure, like, Jeremy Reese was going hard on Jeremy Corbell and some of these guys. And I tried to stay out of a lot of this, thinking, like, I don't know who's on what side or what have you. I've come to the conclusion for sure that Lou Elizondo, Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, these guys, I would call them white hats, which means they have good intentions, but they are controlled by the intelligence agencies to push a very specific narrative that distracts the people from the science and makes it so that the science is very hard to muddle your way through and figure out what's the true science versus the disinformation that people are pushing out there. Now, I've independently, nobody has told me to believe this, concluded that 0-point energy is the answer, and that Hal Puthoff has like a dozen papers on 0-point energy, and that, you know, he and Eric Davis have almost certainly seen UFOs or whatever, right? Oh, Jeremy wants a link to this. Okay, hold on. How do I do this? There you go. You just go look at my Twitter account, Jeremy. These are both from like just an hour or two ago or whatever. So, but there's a link if you care. Actually, I'll leave this up for a second. So in this interview here, this is only 1 minute long. I mean, Dr. Greer says basically everything that I've been saying, which is that
the why is an interesting one, and that was the hardest thing.
That just started playing automatically. So the question is like the why. Why have they been covering this up? Like, what's going on with this? And what Dr. Greer says here is that he figured out that this is all about the technology. The whole thing about aliens. Okay, aliens is interesting, right? Like it's cool to know, are we alone in the universe or whatever, right? But the much bigger part is the alien, or is the technology. I'm just going to do this solo, Jeremy, but I appreciate you, brother. We can do something soon in the near future. Because I got some stuff I want to get through, and then I'm going to call it here. But we can do, we'll do an interview together in the near future here, or we can do a live stream together in the near future. Maybe later this week even. So, oh, wait. And then he also explains the technology in terms of what we've been hiding. And what you're going to see here is it's basically the same. Basically the same. So here we go.
The why is an interesting one, and that was the hardest thing for me to unpack in the 1990s, right, prior to my meetings with people. Well, what I discovered is that this is a science and technology story more than an alien, right, whatever, fantastical story.
Right.
And that is, imagine technologies where you can, on this table, some little space this big.
Right.
You could have a device that would run your house or your car or your business, pulling energy out of what's called the 0 point or quantum vacuum. Now, these technologies have been around for decades. This is what the Lost Century, that documentary,
100 years of
100 years, and it's been around a long time. But the more refined ones,
right,
also allow for motion and going up. You know, so these technologies would completely terminate all oil, gas, coal, nuclear power, public utilities, petrodollar. All of it would go. It's $1,000 trillion. The why.
So I never would have expected Dr. Greer to say any of that. He says straight up, this is more about the technology than it is about aliens. And he's right, it is. It's much more impactful for our society that we have 0 point free energy, that we can manipulate gravity, that we can actually make a wormhole. That is huge. That changes everything about our civilization overnight, instantaneously. Aliens is neat. Tells us we're not alone in this universe. But the moment you realize we can make a wormhole, people are going to come to the conclusion that there's other life out there somewhere. And then now they can get to us. I never expected him to say that. And then he also mentions this idea of like, well, it's this 0 point energy that would change everything. He even says the 0 point energy, some of these devices have like propulsion mechanisms or propulsion. And what he means there is that when you look at 0 point energy devices that work, free energy devices that work, if they are pulling enough energy out of the equilibrium, out of the vacuum, then there's a mass reduction effect because 0 point energy explains inertia. So the less 0 point energy there is, the less inertia you're going to have, which means you're going to have weight reduction. So when you take the Cyril device, John Cyril's device, which is the spinning magnets thing, whatever, or the Kepler MEC, depending on what direction it's oriented, you're either going to have a reduction in weight or an increase in weight. And this goes to show there must be a connection between these physics concepts. And what is the great unifier? 0-point energy. And what is 0-point energy? Basically, when you boil it down, just energy, electricity. This is why I say that the universe is electric. I don't mean literally there's lightning bolts zapping through the universe. I mean that positive and negative charges at very small scales, at this extra dimension scale, added up over the vastness of the universe, is the cohesive energy that's keeping everything together. Okay, let's see if we got some questions. Oh, Bernard Haish. Yeah, Haish. I've seen Haish on a lot of the papers. And one of the things you'll realize, too, is that you see a lot of the same names over and over. We're going to look at Sonny White's Wormhole paper that I'd never looked at before. We're going to look at it briefly, and I think we're going to review it again in more detail on Wednesday. I'm curious, Jeremy, if you're still here, I want to know if you've already looked at this paper and what your opinions are as well. So we're going to look at that in a second. Did you attain a teleportation? There's actually a teleportation called Teleportation Physics Study by Eric W. Davis, who's like BFFs with Hal Puthoff, by the way. Small world. The other thing you're going to realize is this is a much smaller world with respect to these engineers than what people realize. And this is how it's easy to compartmentalize the information. There's not that many of these engineers that are out there. I don't need to really do a face-to-face with Dr. Greer. Like, he knows the technology, but he doesn't know how it works scientifically. Whereas I said, I'm just going to learn how it works. I don't care how long it takes me. And it only took about 9 months to get to the point where I'm like comfortable enough talking to someone like Candace Owens and explaining the science and going through the physicists and engineers who have scientific papers that are out there. I still have a ways to go, quite a ways, but I'm comfortable enough talking about it now with podcasters where I don't feel like I'm an idiot. Yeah, and to Jeremy's credit, he's been talking about the scientists, man. You've been talking about a lot of them, honestly. I think that to be, as some constructive criticism, what I would say is like, it's just a matter of honing down on which ones are legit and which ones are bullshit. Like, you've clearly talked to a lot of the people who know what they're talking about. And in fact, I was listening to Brandenburg yesterday talk to Sean Hazlitt, and I asked him some questions, and I can tell that Brandenburg understands the physics concepts, like make a black hole, it's going to create plasma, etc. But then he's like, oh, well, then the black hole might go into the Earth and destroy the Earth. But you have to realize that there's an anti-gravitational effect as well, which means the black hole is not going to fall into the Earth. The black hole is going to be self-sustaining, like what Ken Shoulder's work shows. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, okay, let's see. Let me look at my list here. What do I have next? Okay, we looked at Glenn Beck. Oh, okay. The other video, there's one more video I wanted to look at. I'm trying to remember where it's at, actually. Let me look. I think it's in my bookmarks. This one you guys are going to love. Okay, let me see. It's why Hal Puthoff. Oh, here it is. Yep. Okay. This is how the government decided not to give us disclosure. Can you believe this? There's actually a video. This is from the Soul Foundation. I don't know how long ago was this? 7 months ago. This was when the Soul Foundation happened. Guess who is talking about how the government decided we don't deserve disclosure. We just don't deserve it. I can't believe there's a video like this that exists. And of course, it's Hal Puthoff talking about it again. How is Hal Puthoff at the center of all this? Hal Puthoff is at the center of all this shit. Look, there he is.
The government has been along the way with some elements that a lot of people may not be aware of. Of course, we all know that we had.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. I don't want to watch this whole video. So what I'm going to say is, basically explains. He says that he gets called in and said, "Hey, can you come to DC?" And he's like, "I don't know. Why would I come to DC?" He's like, "You need to come." And he goes there, and it's a bunch of like the smartest scientists and government connected people and what have you. And their objective is to come up with a list. Come up with a list of things for positive and negatives if they were to give UFO disclosure to people.
The think tank in Washington, D.C., this is back a couple of decades ago. He says, I want you to come and participate in a conference here in Washington. I said, well, frankly, I'm too busy. What's it about? He says, I can't tell you what it's about. But if you come and you participate, you will consider it later to be one of the most important conferences you ever been to. Well, since I had respect for him and knew his background and many things he's done, I did finally decide to come to this conference. There had been crash retrievals by Russia, really cool. I mean, this could really go someplace. So he said, okay, the strategy we're going to use is we're going to make a list of all the areas that you think would be affected by this. And then on each one, you're going to have to grade them on a scale from +9 to -9 as to the level of impact and whether it's positive or negative. Okay, so we started out by making lists. So we started out with the obvious things. Well, I mean, the stock market, maybe religions, well, certainly politics would be affected. So we made a long list. I mean, it was really a long list. And the time we got down to the bottom of the list, we were really in the weeds. Like, okay, if corporation A has access to retrieve materials that corporation B doesn't, then when this comes out, corporation B is going to sue corporation A, they're going to sue the government.
Chat, they just had like a meeting and they're like, hey guys, should we give disclosure to people? I want you guys to just rank these things 1 to 10. Like rank politics and the economy and like if people are going to have a mental breakdown. You're like, what? He's just talking about this openly? This happened? Like, are you kidding me? And then he's saying, oh, if company A was given UFOs and company B was not, well, company B is going to sue company A. Yes, they're going to sue the shit out of them. That's government playing favorites. So they work through this whole list. And what he's going to say here is that, like, basically they separate them out into little groups. And all of them decide that they're like in the negative when they add it all up. That like, we shouldn't do it because there's too much negative consequence to disclosure. What?
This is really going to be a tough thing to kind of handle. Okay. So anyway, we broke up into groups. He's taking a certain number of the things that were in our list. Okay.
I can't believe this is real.
And in my group, we added up the numbers, +9 to -9. And we ended up in the negative category, even though we were kind of positively disposed to the idea. So
they're like, yeah, we wanted disclosure, but we just did some numbers 1 through 9 and we got to negative. So we just decided we're not doing disclosure. What? And for the record, like Hal Puthoff is like the fucking godfather. Like, I'm pretty sure if this guy snaps his fingers, he can have somebody dead. Like, I'm pretty confident. And he's also soft-spoken, which makes me even more suspicious of him. Because, like, the soft-spoken one in the background is the one you really want to be careful about. Also, I've never been in a position where I think Hal Puthoff is lying watching his videos. I think he might be holding back information, but I feel like he's being very forthcoming. Like, he's telling a true story right here. This happened for sure. Yeah. Fuck democracy. We're just going to have some smart dudes come into a room and they're going to put some numbers down. And we're going to decide that this, whether or not the answer to this is going to determine whether or not we do disclosure. Are you kidding me? Like, this is actually exactly what I expect. Like, this is exactly government bullshit bureaucracy. Now I'm more convinced that what I'm doing is the right thing. Because the alternative is basically we just get some old white dudes in a room and they just decide like, oh, nope, these guys are going to kill themselves. The stock market's going to collapse. A bunch of people are going to lose a lot of money. Like we just can't do disclosure. Sorry, maybe another 50 years. What the fuck?
I thought, well, maybe that just has to do with particular lists that we got. So then I talked to other people that were on other lists and said, you know, we came to a negative number also. Well, make a long story short, it turned out that everybody going through these lists, there's a very sophisticated situation with complex computers and big screens and all that kind of stuff. It finally came down to the fact that the problem was there's so many areas to handle, and there was no way to handle them all at the same time. And so the final result was, therefore, Lee said, we're going to recommend that we don't go forward with this. And so those of us who were participating in this were pretty disappointed, thinking, you know, we started thinking that, you know, this would be a good thing to do. So anyway, let's go forward up to.
Are you kidding me, chat? Are you fucking kidding me? That's how we decided not to have disclosure. We just stuck some dudes in a room and they decided, well, some people might go to prison. Government, Lockheed Martin might get sued out of oblivion. We're just sorry, no disclosure for you guys today. You kidding me? Oh my God, man. Holy shit. I'm gonna clip that and post that on my Twitter probably tomorrow. Because the more I look into this, the more I'm just like, my God, how are there people out there that are denying there's something going on here? Like every single puzzle piece fits into place. Obviously, there's UFOs going on. Whether or not UFOs are aliens or us, I think is very up in the air. But for the most part, we figured this technology out. I don't know where we figured it out from, how we figured it out, but we have figured this out. We probably were figuring it out like a long time ago as well. And that takes us into our last thing for the night, which is what's Sonny White's real first name? God dang it. I shouldn't be drinking all this scissor. The white man scissor. Where's the paper? Where is the paper, chat? Oh, here it is. Oh, Sonny White's name is also Harold, right? Yeah. Okay. This paper is called Worldline. God, why does it have such a weird name? This is probably why I didn't look at it before. Worldline numerics applied to custom Casimir forces. Here, I'll just pull it up because this paper has the longest name in the world. We're not going to go through the whole thing. We're just going to take a glance at it for tonight. Worldline numerics applied to custom Casimir geometry generates unanticipated intersection with Alcubierre warp metric. Okay. Normally, if I had looked at this like 9 years ago, I would not have had any idea what this paper was all about. This is Harold Sonny White. This is the former NASA guy. And this is where, when you guys link me those news articles about warp drive, real warp bubble that was found, this is the scientific paper they're referencing. I looked it up. And it goes to show, like, when people report on something in these, like, the debrief or these other, like, news sources, they rarely do justice for the paper. So I'm just going to read the abstract here because the abstract is very interesting. I think you guys are going to notice a lot of terms that we've been talking about in our science streams. While conducting analysis related to a DARPA-funded project to evaluate possible structure of the energy density present in a Casimir cavity, as predicted by the dynamic vacuum model. What is dynamic vacuum model? Dynamic vacuum model is probably just like 0 point energy, like the ether. And this goes to show they use different terms for the same thing. So Sonny White knows there's an ether of energy, that vacuum of space is not empty. And he doesn't call it the ether because he's going to get, his paper is going to get obliterated if he does. So he just calls it dynamic vacuum model, right? They just give it special names. This is what physicists physicists basically just give things extra names in order to like try to get it so that like mainstream normies don't immediately try to shoot their paper down. So the energy density presented here, he's talking about this sea of energy and how you can manipulate this with Casimir cavities. And we know Casimir cavities. Why? Because we looked into Garrett Modal. Garrett Modal was working on Casimir cavities to extract energy. He says, a micro nanoscale structure has been discovered that predicts negative energy density distribution. Negative energy density distribution that closely matches the requirements for the Alcubierre warp metric. The simplest notional geometry being analyzed as a part of the DARPA-funded funded work consists of a standard parallel plate Casimir cavity equipped with pillars arrayed along the cavity midplane with the purpose of detecting a transient electric field arising from vacuum polarization conjectured to occur along the midplane of the cavity. So he's basically saying there should be this electric force that's happening on the midplane of the cavity. An analytic technique called worldline numerics was adapted to numerically assess the vacuum response to the Casimir cavity, and these numerical analysis results were observed to be qualitatively quite similar to a two-dimensional representation of the energy density requirements for Alcubierre warp metric. Consequently, a toy model consisting of a 1 nanometer diameter sphere centrally located within a 4 nanometers diameter cylinder. So you have one circle inside of another circle. Was analyzed to show three-dimensional Casimir energy density that correlates well with the Alcubierre warp drive metrics. This qualitative correlation would suggest that a chip like a microchip scale experiments might be explored to attempt to measure tiny signatures illustrative of the presence of the conjectured phenomenon, a real, albeit humble, warp bubble. Wow. Wow. I want you to keep something in mind. He's not talking about warp drive like the orbs. He's talking about a wormhole here. And the 4 nanometer, the 4-to-1 ratio is the same ratio of entropy in a black hole. Somebody linked that to me earlier today. Apparently the 4-to-1 is like some black hole ratio as well. So he's actually talking about making a wormhole here. That's what's really crazy. And when you read through now that we've understood so much about zero-point energy, you see what he's really saying here. This paper was in 2021. 2021. This is only a few years ago. And it got widely reported in the UFO circle. I missed a comment. Yeah, dynamic Casimir effect. Exactly. Dynamic Casimir effect is like major with respect to this. Because why is dynamic Casimir effect important? Because we can pull energy straight out of the vacuum and we can get real photons out of it. Basically, we have these virtual particles that are constantly popping into existence, but they only stay in existence for a short time and then they interact and wipe out. Well, we can capture them and we can turn them into real photons. And a photon is just an electromagnetic wave of energy. So we can extract real energy. And then the other thing, this is one thing I wanted to point out. Jeremy, alien scientist, says, which is why I've been skeptical of Hal Puthoff's place in the TTSA and UFOlogy. Yes, we are close to testing the arts parts now. The fact that Hal Puthoff was involved in TTSA is very weird to me. I can't quite figure it out. I've asked people behind the scenes, like, why was he involved in this? But Lou Elizondo was in that group as well. It's pretty bizarre. And this is where I wonder if like Hal Puthoff is not like the ultimate gatekeeper. Even if he is, I respect the hell out of him because he figured this stuff out. Like I've got him pinned as like, he's the guy that is like the OG that's still alive. For sure. He's seen stuff that most people will not ever be able to believe. Okay, so yeah, Bob Greer is awesome as well. I think Bob Greenyer I love, but like I don't know if he has the ambition to commercialize the technology. There's like more than one factor. It's not as simple as like you figure it out and now you're a billionaire. It's like I figured out some science. How do I turn this into something? Hal Puthoff figured that out in his patent, where Hal Puthoff kind of like took the idea of the Ehrenhoff-Bohm effect and scalar physics, and he made a communication device out of it, which I would argue is a gravitational wave communication device. It's been approved 5 times. I'm sure he's made millions and millions of dollars off of it. Absolutely sure. But yes, this is really interesting, this paper, because it talks about negative energy. Now, I don't think there is negative mass. Hal Puthoff talks about this in his paper, Gravity as a 0-Point Fluctuation Force. In that paper, he says, why have we not observed negative mass? Because all the negative mass is really stuck as negative energy. So we have this ocean of energy, and everything down here is negative, right? Just like if I were to take a graph, everything below the midline is negative. But it's not negative mass. The moment you pull it out of the Dirac sea, out of the ether, it's now just normal energy. So there's never a situation where you're creating negative mass. But we don't need that. Like Eric W. Davis points out in his wormhole papers, he says, because E equals mc squared, energy is mass. So instead of looking at the problem like we need to create this negative mass, look at it like we just need negative energy. And what is negative energy? Pulling the energy out of the ether. So if I look at the ocean like this and I say, I'm going to pull some energy out of it, that's negative energy. And if I want to make a singularity, I pull so much energy out of it that I create the singularity, just like a black hole. And that's potentially what a wormhole is. And what's the limit? The limit is the Schwinger limit. The moment you get above the Schwinger limit, space-time itself becomes nonlinear. And you can use 4-wave mixing in order to produce like a wave function where your macroscopic object now just teleports from one location in space-time where you just pull all the energy out to another location from here to over here. Just like with our rubber bands, which I don't have accessible to me right now. So pretty sweet. No, Hal Puthoff has not been a Scientologist since the 70s. That's like 50 years ago. So he's not a Scientologist anymore. For the record, guys, people have tried to recruit me to Scientology. True story. Since I started doing this, people have tried to recruit me to Scientology. Pretty wild, huh? It's weird. I don't know why. Okay. Oh yeah, this shit about Jeremy, this thing about like hit it with the right frequency and it's going to float. Probably bullshit. Probably bullshit. But I do think there's a connection between the magnesium, bismuth, zinc and Salvatore Paius's inertial mass reduction for a transmedium craft. Why? Because plasma is the easiest way to pull this off. You can create your asymmetry, which is going to cause basically free energy, and it's going to also have a inertia reduction because you're pulling all the 0-point energy out. And then if you want that same effect, just like with this scientific paper, you need to create a bubble. You want one bubble here, and you want to be inside this bubble. And then you want a bigger bubble on the outside, ratio of 4:1. So we have a small bubble here. We hide in this bubble, and you've got a bigger bubble on the outside. That's our Casimir bubble. That's what he's talking about in this paper right now. So if I want to do that for a craft, then I need my craft to be inside this smaller bubble. And what does Salvatore Paius's patent say? He makes a triangle craft, and he makes a cavity along the outside of it. And that cavity is like a plasma. It is a plasma in the cavity. So basically, you're separating the outside from the inside. This is why the plasma orbs are us, because that's the most rudimentary form of this. Is just a coherent ball of plasma that can float around freely. We don't need anybody inside of it. But if you want to have a craft that can transport somebody, then you need a cavity around your craft or a bubble around it, right? And that's what Sonny White is talking about in this paper. That's what he's talking about here. So we're probably going to review this on Wednesday. I haven't read through all of it, but I've read through enough of it, and I've seen enough keywords where I'm like, the other thing when I read this, I go, this is not, Sonny White's not just speculating here. Sonny White is like he's seen something. Like this guy he's honed in. He's the way he writes this paper, like I think he knows this works, basically. Polaritarian. I don't know. I can't say these words, but condensate is negative energy. That's interesting. Anything related to negative energy, I want to know more about. For sure. Yeah, and I think the frequency is absolutely important. Frequency is important. Like we saw with parametric oscillations when we were looking at that before, frequency is for sure important, especially when it comes to Tesla. Like Tesla figured out a way where the swing just gets bigger and bigger. You hit it with the right frequency with the least amount of resistance and it just takes off. But that doesn't mean that you can just, zap anything with a frequency and it's just going to do magical stuff. So, yeah, and Paez uses PZT for his medium or whatever it is. I haven't dug into all of that, but I plan to, yeah. Lead, zirconium titanate, piezoelectric effect. Pretty interesting. Oh, yeah. Because so the PZT in his thing, because it flexes, it bends a little bit. So you want it to be able to be somewhat malleable because it squishes and then you get energy out of it and then it goes back to its original form. Why is that important? Because then you can repeat the process. So that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to get this squeezing effect where you can squeeze energy out and then it's going to go back. And when you squeeze the material, it's like all of a sudden the highways are open. And now the electrons are just flowing without resistance anymore. And so there's several ways, I think, to pull off superconductivity. And superconductivity is huge because it just drops your resistance to zero. Yeah, I think Alien Scientist is right here, too, which is it has a lot to do with matching the natural sound of the atoms or the frequency, the vibration of the atoms. And when you match them, now you get this resonance begins to form. And resonance has really been ignored, honestly, in a lot of mainstream physics. So what I wanted to show you guys, if you go to the bottom, and there's some cool diagrams on this as well, which we'll look at probably on Wednesday. So this is like the diagram setup. So what I thought is I want to look at the references in the paper. Also, look at this one. This is the orb. What the hell? We're looking at the orbs. When I saw this, I was like, wait, what? Look at that. Holy shit. This is the heat signature of the orbs. Maybe this is just me seeing too much into it, but doesn't this look like the heat signature of the orbs in the MH370 video? And why is this important? Because when we look at the orbs, we're not looking at a true Alcubierre drive. We're looking at, they found a way where you don't need to have it contract and expand. The orbs themselves here, they only need to pull forward. So when you look at these orbs and you see the heat signature, you can tell it looks just like what we're looking at in this scientific paper right here. And so we don't actually need the contraction and expansion. You just need to remove the 0 point energy in front of you, and you're just going to fall forward. And that's what we're seeing right here. And then if you want to make a warp bubble, that's going to give you a wormhole where like you literally go from one location to the next. This is crazy that the dynamic Casimir effect really is the secret sauce for some of this extraction of energy. I 100% agree. After I read Dynamic Casimir effect, this also explains, Jeremy, why in the satellite video, why there's a zap. So why is there a zap in this satellite video here? When the plane flashes away, it's because it's pulling real photons straight out of the vacuum. Remember, you're making a wormhole like this. Boom. Why is there a flash right there? The flash is because the photons are being pulled straight out of the medium, just like the dynamic Casimir effect. And so what happens when the photons get pulled out? That's why this flashes right here. That's why you have a flash right there like that. Even though it's a cold event, why are photons being pulled out? Boom. You pull out the 0 point energy, your dynamic Casimir effect, you're yanking photons right out. Boom. Pretty sweet, huh? Okay, let's remove this. Let's remove this. Let's go back to this. Okay, so I wanted to just show you guys the references on the bottom. As you can see, this paper is pretty long. I'll post a link in the chat, but you guys can find it pretty quick. Yeah, and I've learned more and more about this, guys. Like, keep in mind, a year ago today, I knew nothing about electrical engineering, and I knew like a little bit of physics. And now I've learned a lot more, and I still have a ways to go. Perfectly. Like, I'm not on the level of like Jeremy and some of these other guys, but I'm trying. I'm trying slowly. And then here's some of these warp bubble metrics. And this is the one right here that you usually see when people post the links to the news articles. You usually see this, which it looks like you're looking at one half of the orb. One half of the orbs. I'll take a look at this guy for sure. Thank you for linking. Okay, and then the references somewhere down here. Notes. So one thing I like to do now is I always like to look at what papers are they referencing. And usually they reference their own papers. So a lot of these are Sonny White's own papers. But look at this third one. Garrett Modal. He's referencing Garrett Modal in the third paper here. And we know Garrett Modal has been looking into Casimir cavities. We watched the video several weeks ago about him. You start to realize there's like not nearly as many scientists as you think that are connected to this stuff. I don't know what just happened right there. Harold White. He also has Alcubierre listed. Is this Matt Vesser? Is this the guy this guy can't be the guy that's from Washington University, can he? No, that's a different one. Okay, so he's from New Zealand, Matt Visser. Okay. I was kind of surprised not to see Hal Puthoff get referenced here. But whatever, doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, so yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. We went through the MH370 videos a little bit. What's this one? Ashley, do you see my reply about QTSR? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is, unfortunately. Oh, Sarfati raves about him. So my opinion on Jack Sarfati, I was talking to somebody, I'm not going to say who, the other day about this, is that Jack Sarfati is a good physicist, but you need to be an engineer and a physicist. And the reason is that it's more important that you see that something works and then you try to explain how it works. Then you say, well, I need the math to work before I even look into this. And this is the difference between physics and engineering. Engineers say, I'm going to do something crazy and then I'm going to try to explain it. And physicists go, I'm going to try to figure out what the math says we can do. And then I'm going to go run an experiment off of it. And Sarfati is what I would consider like 100% on the physics side and not engineering side. And this is what I think holds him back a lot. Because he'll say this person's full of shit or that person's full of shit, who definitely are not. Like he doesn't like Sal Paez, but Sal Paez definitely knows what he's doing. And that's the big difference. That's why I think Sarfati was never brought in on the black projects ever, because he doesn't have the right mindset for it, and people hate him, frankly. The tractor beams thing. Wait, Visser was the guy talking about tractor beams. I thought that was David Greer out of NYU. If you've got somebody else who looked at tractor beams, I want to look at the tractor beam stuff, because I'm pretty sure what they're doing with those tractor beams is they're creating squeezed light, which is producing a negative energy. That's what I think they're doing with tractor beams. And that's why instead of pushing something, it's pulling backwards. And I want to look at that because I want to figure out how they're making the negative energy lasers, because I want to make one. The two things I want to do, I want to make a negative energy laser, and I want to make a plasma doomsday weapon. Basically like a ball plasma that can create a black hole that can destroy the entire solar system. I think that if I can figure those two things out, then we might be able to get people to take us seriously. It's going to be pretty fun. And then what I'll do is I'll make a dead man switch, and I'll put my black hole my plasma black hole weapon on my dead man switch. And then if anybody, either a foreign country or my own country, takes me out, then everybody gets to learn how to make a doomsday weapon. And then, yeah, that's a good deterrent, right? Death is a good deterrent. So anyway, kind of a joke, kind of not, guys. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for being in the chat. Thank you, Bernie and Jeremy, for being in the chat. Thank you, MH370X, and everybody who's been hanging out. Oh, Loomer Fan Club is here. Hey, Loomer Fan Club. Nice to see you. I'm a big fan of Laura Loomer. I love independent research. Regardless if you don't like her politics or not, I'm a fan of her. And Nathaniel Hicks, it was nice to meet you in the Cosmic Summit. And you've been just a really smart guy, man. So I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys, stick with the physics, stick with the science. Should be sweet. Oh, he found the paper for us, chat. Give me 1 sec, chat. I'm gonna write this down. I want to look at this paper tonight. I'm such a nerd now. Like, instead of like watching Netflix and stuff, I read scientific papers at night. It's like, what's happened to me, chat? What's happened? And then maybe we'll do a stream with Jeremy later this week, because I've been putting it off for a while, and I know he's wanted to chat on stream. Oh, yeah, tractor beams. Okay, this is a nice paper. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Definitely going to have a read of that one later tonight, guys. Okay, guys, share the information, share the videos, share the science, wake people up. Let's do the thing. Let's get people excited about being interested in science and Star Trek in the future, guys. So have a great night, everybody. I love you guys. Peace out. I'll play us out with, I'll play us out with the cipher. Yeah, we'll play us out with the cipher. Peace.
Out in the fields where the skies are wide, talking about a journey through the cosmic ride. Einstein and Thorne, they set the stage for a trip through time across the space age. Wormholes connect distant points in space, traversable paths to a far-off place. No black holes pull, no crushing weight, just a cosmic tunnel to a distant gate. Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. Exotic matter, negative energy's the key to stabilize the wormhole for you and me. Quantum vacuum squeezed so tight, creating conditions for this wondrous flight. Static fields and lasers in the lab they play, generating forces in a new kind of way. Gravitational squeezing, Casimir's force, negative zones we need to stay the course. Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. Thin shell formalism placed so fine, spherical geometry we realign. Energy conditions that we must defy. For a stable wormhole, let's give it a try. Forces balancing the plates, creating the throat, open the gates, from Earth to the stars in a single bound. A shortcut through space profound. Engineers and dreamers hold the key to future worlds and what we could be. With science in hand, we forge ahead through the cosmic paths that we now tread. Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow. From the fields to the stars, we break the chains. Understanding the universe, we make the gains. Lil Hula Crunk shines, bringing truth to light. Through his music, we'll explore the night. With wormholes and stargates, our path is clear. Exploring the cosmos, our future's here.